Philemon chapter 1. In fact, in verse number 16, it says, "No longer as a slave, but more than a slave, a beloved brother, especially to me, but how much more to you, both in the flesh and in the Lord." That's what the gospel does. It tears down walls, not from the outside in, but from the inside out. I love the lyrics of the song, "O Holy Night." It says, "His law is love, and his gospel is peace. Chains shall he break, for the slave is our brother. And in his name all oppression shall cease." That's exactly what was beginning to happen in the early church. Some masters were actually sitting under the teaching of their slaves. Some slaves, no doubt, were serving as pastors of local churches. And what was implicit in the gospel became explicit in history. Had it not been for the gospel, that would not have been the case. Now, the natural question for you and I is, how does all this apply to us, right? Well, I think there's some natural application, second part of this message, that focuses on how we relate to one another as employees and employers. You see, in chapter 5, Paul, under the inspiration of the Spirit, tells all of us as believers to imitate God as his dear children. Then he tells us what that looks like. We're to walk like him. We're to walk in his love. We're to walk in his light. We're to walk in his wisdom. We're to be filled with his Spirit. Now, Paul goes on to talk some details about what that looks like in the confines of a marriage, what it looks like in parenting, what it even looks like in the workplace. Let me ask you a question. Do you remember your first job? I remember my first job. I was so excited to come work on our facilities team here at the church. I was so excited until I cleaned my first toilet and it got real. Suddenly that excitement started going away. Well, why was I so excited? It's because God designed us to work, right? To be productive. There's great satisfaction in our work. But did you know that according to a 2023 survey, only 20% of Americans are passionate about their job? That breaks my heart. And did you know that 61% of workers in America want to leave their job? 61% are looking for a way out. Now, for the remainder of our time together, I want to help you find purpose and satisfaction in your job, even if you don't like it, and even if you have a bad boss, all right? First principle, as an employee, work for your boss as if you're working for Jesus himself, because you are. That is Paul's main point in this passage. You don't mainly work for an earthly master. He says your master in the flesh here. You ultimately don't work for him because you have a new master who you work for, and his name is Jesus. Do you have that mindset as a believer? When you wake up in the morning, you're heading off to work, do you realize you're going to work for Jesus? That understanding, that mentality and mindset is going to allow you to work with a credible attitude. It's going to allow you to submit to your boss even when they're being an idiot.